Hi, it's Chris Titley here, and today we're chatting to Ben Pullen, the founder of Outposter. Ben's coming live from Manila. Ben, good afternoon.
Afternoon, Chris. Good morning from Manila, actually. How are you?
Very, very well. Ben, 2024 for Outposter. How's the year been so far towards the end of the year? Can you give us a bit of an update on the year so far?
Yeah, look, 2024 has been a great year. Obviously, we're coming into probably a more normalized marketplace post COVID. There was a huge surge during the COVID years, which has, I guess, not slowed down so much, but I guess it's definitely now sorting out what people want to do in terms of outsourcing. There was a period there of panic with obviously labor shortages where everyone was getting whatever they possibly could done. But now I think there's more strategy behind it. There's probably more sustainable growth. And I think that's sort of where we've seen ourselves in 2024. For us, for Outposter, I mean, that's the macro, but for us, for Outposter, our growth into North America has been probably the highlight for us for the year. Our expansion into India for service delivery has been really well received so far, and that continues to grow. We're actually flying our country manager for India into Manila later today, so I'll be going out to the airport to pick him up. So, yeah, I think there's been a few really big wins, and it's been an interesting marketplace industry to be a part of. A few interesting little things crop up this year, such as the Fair Work ruling out of Australia around engaging contractors or staff directly as an Australian entity, and what that means now with the new ruling in place. But yeah, no, I think it's been a positive year, absolutely positive year, and I think that 2025 is shaping up to be one where we execute on the strategies that we put in place this year and continue to expand outwards.
Just on that Fair Work ruling, I mean, that's been talked about it in the industry. How critical is it to get that structure right from a BPO provider and other BPO providers out there that potentially need to, I suppose, adhere to those rules? What's your comment
It's
on this
funny.
particular ruling?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I actually just got sent a screenshot from my wife back in Brisbane yesterday of a Women in Work forum on Facebook where they were discussing the actual ruling itself. So it's definitely reverberated outside of the industry. She was actually asking if this has any impact on us. And my response to you is yeah, it's positive as a BPO itself because this is something we've been combating a while. Around the freelance work, and I know the Philippine government has as well around how they tackle this. They're missing out on large portions of tax revenue from PAYG, and then now they're having to chase up individual contractors. So the law as it came out, for anyone that doesn't know, is that anyone that's engaged as an employee directly by an Australian entity, um, the staff member here or the worker here has access to the Australian employment rights. So annual leave, pay, termination, all that sort of stuff. And look, the Philippine laws are similar to Australian laws. However, each country builds the laws specific to its own population. And, there's other things here that people miss out on, such as private health, which don't get covered in Australia either. So I think what it is now, it's, funneling and formalizing the engagement between companies and their employees. I think it's a positive step for the employees. I think it's a positive step for the BPOs, and I think it's a positive step for the government here as well. Seeing that source of tax revenue, knowing that people have stability in their roles. The other thing that we saw with companies directly employing staff was non-payment of salary and wages with the employee doesn't have much chance of recourse. So there's basically, outside of jurisdiction, out of country, in a lower wage marketplace, it becomes quite hard for them to go and recoup any lost payments. So, yeah, I think it's a positive, and we're seeing the flow-on effects of that now with clients basically making sure that we have our entity here, which we do in the Philippines and in India. So it enables us to legally and correctly employ people on their behalf.
And in terms of the talent pool that operates in the Philippines, how has Outposter gone about sort of tapping into various levels of talent and the recruitment process from Outposter? Can you talk about that and how that is a little bit of your secret sauce?
Yeah, the Colonel doesn't give away his secret herbs and spices, does he? No, but for recruitment for us, I mean, we've offered recruitment as a free service since day one, only because we have a large network and database of people that we've worked with before, and people that actively and proactively apply for roles with us. So for us, the recruitment piece has always been something that we're focused on. It's why our clients choose us. But in saying that too, the competition for roles has certainly increased. And I won't say that there's been a huge amount of new candidates come through. I think we're at the back end now of seeing a gap that was caused during COVID, where people didn't complete degrees or they were working from home or studying from home rather. And I think that has caused a gap in the marketplace, which I think we're coming to the end of that gap in the pipeline now. We'll start to see new graduates come through next year. We've headed that challenge off by directly partnering with in educational institutions to directly employ graduates straight out of university and college. So that's had some pretty big wins for us.
And just on that, doing business in the Philippines, one of the, I suppose, the benefits of having a workforce over there is their proficiency in the English language. Can you talk about that and how important that is when it comes to employers looking to complement their existing staff offshore?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's critical. If you can't communicate, you can't work together, right? And I think that I'm not saying you can't work with people that don't have the same language or shared language, but it certainly makes it a lot easier. And yeah, look, it's the reason why Philippines really presents itself as being the number one choice for outsourcing or offshoring work in Southeast Asia. Similarly to India, obviously it's a direct impact of the history and the colonialism that occurred in both countries, but to be actively promoted and supported by the government and by industry here and educational institutions is probably why this place has become the growth factory that it is in terms of the economy is growing, the population is a building out of a solid middle class here, just from two things: the talent that's available and two, the ability to communicate.
And then just touching on the work from home, as more people work from home, you would hope that there's sort of some infrastructure upgrades across the world, I suppose, from internet speeds and
Yeah.
whatnot. Can you talk about the Philippines specifically and maybe some investment into the work from home thematic?
Yeah, I think that one of our initial concerns as work from home, and I think justifiably so, was that the infrastructure in provincial areas specifically, especially here, wasn't going to lend itself to quality work from home. And I mean that without service disruption. And I mean that in terms of the bandwidth throughput from internet services, right through to power, through to roadways and line connections, etc. So I think and what I've seen is um, companies coming on board, telecom companies and infrastructure companies and energy companies, and delivering a high quality of service to those regional areas where people are still working from home. We're not seeing people come back to the office in droves. And for us with Outposter, we are purely work from home. That's the model that we've designed, and all of our tech and our tech stack is built around that. So we service that market directly, and we're seeing less and less interruption. We've saw some interruptions recently with the 3 or 4 series of typhoons come through the major population areas of the Philippines. But, I'm an Australian, you're an Australian. We see that if a cyclone hits Cairns or hits Townsville as well. There's always going to be service
Yes.
interruption in those cases. But I think now there's definitely a more robust network that's been built. Secondly, too, I think the same thing that we saw in Australia for a while is that you've got people earning capital city wages here, like a Manila wage, and they're living in a provincial, definitely lower cost area. So there's more money being returned to those smaller communities, which I think is an absolute positive as well. So I think it's been a massive decentralizing force that still continues to this day, especially here.
From the client side in 2024, have you seen any shift in terms of the types of roles or the types of work that clients are requesting? Probably, comparing to say 2023 or even a couple of years before, from people starting to work from home.
Yeah, I think during the COVID time, we definitely saw a huge demand for software developers. And while that's certainly still strong, it was white hot there for a while. And I think that was a direct result of the many stimulus packages handed out by various governments around for small business and for the demand for new technology to be built during that work from home phase. I think now that's as I said, it's still hot. It was white hot, but also support staff around assistants, support staff around graphic designers. I think that's been probably the hugest, the largest impact that we've seen. Social media continues to be a strong vertical. So that's, when I say social media, I mean that's managers through to graphic designers, a whole ecosystem of roles built around the promotion on social media. So I think that's probably the strongest segment if I had to choose one.
And then in 2024, we've seen the rise and the emergence of AI as an industry, or AI tools out there in regards to business processes. Can you talk about what clients are seeing and also what you're seeing in regards to how AI may be transforming the BPO industry and also as an opportunity?
Yeah, I see AI as a big big plus for us. It's an augmentation tool which has only made us more productive, made our staff more productive and more accurate. So I think it's been, as I said, a big positive, and I think the impact on roles is negligible. And I don't think so, because it's all going to come down to ownership. So you can't outsource your decision making to AI. So I think as you use it as a tool to increase your productivity, it's not going to be a replacement tool. So I think that the human knowledge and emotion will still win out, but I think AI will help us get there faster.
And being in the Philippines in sort of late November, December, coming into a quieter period here in Australia, can you talk about that in the Philippines and the reason why you're over in Manila?
Yeah, it's our end of year party. It's the Burr months, baby. So the Burr months start in September, October, November, December. So it's, I think, and I'm pretty sure it is, the longest Christmas celebration in the world. Obviously, a very large Christian and Catholic community here in the Philippines, predominantly so. So yeah, decorations have been up since probably 1st of September, culminating into a huge December, and the traffic is certainly. If the lights don't remind you, the traffic certainly does. This time of year is pretty horrendous. So I live about 6 kilometres from the office, and this morning it was an hour and 15 trip. So certainly would have been quicker to walk, but if you've seen the state of the sidewalks, you don't generally do that. But yeah, it's Christmas is certainly here, and we're looking forward to celebrating. We are a work from home company, so we supply flights and accommodation to staff across the whole country to come in and celebrate with us during this time. So we've got a few clients here from Australia as well. So yeah, it should be a good night.
Excellent. And Ben,
next year after doing us.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Next year I'll be in and I'll book it in the calendar. Just on that, I suppose we've seen Qantas start a direct flight from Brisbane. Is that a bit of a game changer for you?
Yeah. Look, it's a 7 p.m. flight landing here at 1 a.m. and then flying home at 3 a.m. and landing at midday. So whilst the timing's not ideal, I do prefer a 7-hour journey versus a 13-hour one with a connection through Sydney.
Yeah, and then the clients that are coming over to visit you for the Christmas party, is it quite common for them to go over to Manila to meet some of their staff, and how important is that?
Yeah, I think that's, they do. Like, we have, I'd probably say about 30% to 40% of our clients visit fairly regularly, and those are the ones that do get the favour returned in terms of quality of output in general from the staff themselves. So I think, if you want to do it properly, then I'm not saying you have to be here all the time, but generally a visit or two, at least once a year is beneficial for both, the staff and the client.
And Ben, on a final note, what are you most looking forward to in 2025?
2025, I think 2025, it's going to see us expand further, as I said, outwards into the US, into North America. Our Indian base continues to grow. I think 2025 is going to be a strong year globally. I know there's a lot of talk around tariffs at the moment with Trump's tariffs, and that's certainly sending shockwaves through some of the currency markets, the forex markets. But for us, I think that there's a lot of work to be done, and I think most economies are poised to continue, albeit not in that white-hot pace of post-COVID years. I think it's going to certainly be solid for the 2025, and I'm really looking forward to it.
And then finally, some companies out there that have considered outsourcing or considered using staff in the Philippines, some advice for them?
Yeah, call us. Um, yeah, no, I think the biggest piece of advice is hire slowly and train well. Um, obviously, it's in my interest to say hire as fast as you can and as many as you can, but it's certainly not the right way to do it. Hire slow, build it brick by brick, and then continually train, continually monitor, and yeah, you'll see success.
Awesome, Ben. Thanks very much for the chat and the update for 2024, and all the best in 2025.
Thanks, Chris. You too. Have a great Christmas.